Infosecurity TV.
So I'm here on day 3 of Infosecurity Europe with Adrian Davis, Principal Research Analyst for the ISF, and Mark Adams-Wright, CIO of the Suffolk County Council. So you've just come off stage from the Keynote Theatre. What interesting issues or questions were raised today?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Eleanor. I think for me the key one was how people are deploying the cloud and their real worries around risk and looking after information therein.
Yeah, I would echo that, and also a lot of concern around how organisations should approach cloud, what to be perhaps frightened of, what to be less concerned about, and how to go about the whole area.
So the title of the presentation was actually a question. Do you know what you've signed up to from your cloud solutions? Was that question answered during today's session?
Yes, I think one of the key things that comes out of the whole conversation is actually you have to start well, and that means contracting, that means due diligence, that means procurement, getting all those things lined up before you even start to buy and use a service. A lot of the audience, I think, were pleasantly surprised it wasn't about technology and more about the business and commercial side of things.
Yeah, no, I'd echo that. I think what I tried to bring to the discussion was the real world organisational view of how you go about doing this and the practicalities of doing it. So I think that resonated quite well with people who were perhaps looking for the avenue to get into the subject and weren't quite sure how to do that.
So somebody this week actually called the cloud a fancy word for the internet. It was quoted. I just wonder if you think that's a reasonable assessment or whether that's something that's not quite true.
Well, from the ISF point of view, we've always said the cloud is outsourcing with a few wrinkles. So I can understand why that was said. I think one of the key things is that it's evolving and no one yet really knows what the cloud is. There's lots of competing definitions and lots of competing ideas. And as an industry, we haven't yet come to a sensible and agreed conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the term the cloud is something I try and avoid using when I go back at the branch because it's become almost a point of fun sometimes because it gets bandied about a lot and it is misunderstood in a lot of cases. So we do tend to talk about services delivered across the internet or via IP connection, which is a nice technical term but doesn't resonate very well. So I think there's a lot of difficulty in understanding exactly what the cloud's all about.
So at the conference maybe 2 years ago, the cloud was all that anyone was talking about in the sessions and out on the conference floor. I think this year it feels like mobile technology and buy your own device has kind of taken that space. What do you think we're going to be talking about at the show next year?
Oh, well, I'd like us to be talking about risk and information, not the technologies. Because I think now we've got so many platforms and so many ways of accessing our information. We need to catch up and focus on how do I protect my information, how do I serve my information out to my business, how does my business use the information it's got to best advantage, and where information security, and there's a clue there in the name, can really help make that information more valuable and more useful across business and commercial and indeed government angles.
Yeah, I kind of think that what I'd like to see is us talking more about the business outcomes and the successes that have been achieved through all of these technologies because, you know, at conferences typically technical ones, they rumble through year on year. One topic is of a flavour, then the next year and so on. And we tend to forget that at the back of those there are businesses that need to run and be successful as a result of using those technologies. So I think it would be great for people to be focusing on what they've achieved with those rather than what the next big thing is going to be and, you know, whether somebody's running an iPad or somebody's running this particular technology and they're bringing their own in, or bring your own browser as we call it rather than bring your own device because we like to do things a bit differently in Suffolk. But I mean, I think if it was a business discussion that was around attainment, that would be far more impactful than point solution discussions about technology.
Adrian, Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Infosecurity Europe, Europe's #1 information security event.